watching Rock Titan TV, featuring Revocation frontman Davidson.
Hey everybody, I'm Scotty J, and you are watching Rock Titan Music Television. I've got a great music guest with us right now. He is the lead singer of the heavy metal band Revocation on Metal Blade Records. They got a brand new album coming out at the very end of September, The Outer Ones. Without further ado, I bring you Davidson. What's going on, David?
How's it going, man?
All right. How'd you like that intro?
I loved it.
Best intro you ever had, right?
Very professional.
So, The Outer Ones. We are like a little over a month out from the grand launch, yes?
Yeah, it comes out September 28th.
All right, all right. Now, it's funny because not too far after that, we've got Halloween right around the corner. And I've always been thinking, you know, I've always done like the cheesy, stereotypical stuff for Halloween, blasting on the boombox. You know, I got like Friday the 13th and Halloween and all that stuff. But man, I'm thinking I'm just going to play The Outer Ones and see how many trick-or-treaters I get.
You'd probably scare most of the children away.
No, and then I was thinking about getting a projector and projecting your official music video for the of Unworldly Origin and putting that up against the house.
And people might be concerned, but I mean, you know, I think it would be an interesting experiment for sure.
Would that violate any copyrights?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to sue you. You know, go for it.
Well, I appreciate that. So how do you feel now that the album's finally coming out? You know, I know that it's quite a bit different from what you've done before. We're kind of tapping into the darker side of the supernatural. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think we've had sort of Lovecraftian influences on some of our songs before, but this album we're kind of really doubling down on the death metal and the sci-fi horror element, and I think it came out really cool. I'm very excited with everything from the production to the artwork to just, I mean, obviously the songs themselves we're very passionate about, and we can't wait for people to hear the whole thing. And so far the reaction has been great with the song that you mentioned. We put out one track so far with a video,
right?
And I was really taken aback by how stoked people were about it. My phone was like blowing up with like all these notifications and stuff, so it was cool.
Now I know Metal Blade is phenomenal, you know, when it comes to you know, all the preparation for the launch of a new album with the artists they represent, and you know, getting the hype out there, and there's a lot of pre-sales. Do you have any kind of gauge as far as how The Outer Ones is doing right now?
Seems like it's doing really good. One of the vinyl variants is already sold out.
Really?
And the other version of it, we're doing like two different U.S. vinyls. Like one's like a splatter green purple thing, and one's like a weird kind of space gray swirl.
Nice.
I think there's only like, I don't know, there's less than 50 copies left last time I checked of the gray vinyl, and that was like at the beginning of the week. So I think maybe both variants of the vinyl will probably be sold out, hopefully soon. And it seems like the other physical copies, like the CDs and stuff like that, are selling well and the downloads. So I anticipate it being a good first week for us.
No, it's very cool that you're doing vinyl too, because I know that's near and dear to Brian Slagel's heart.
It's, you know, it's so weird because like the digital download, I think, is going to be the first thing to fully die, which is the oddest. And like that was supposed to be the thing that was going to like wipe out everything. And now with like streaming, it's like, all right, well, you know, why do I need to download the record? I can just stream it. But like things like vinyl are like oddly coming back. Like people thought like vinyl's never going to come back, and like every year you see like an upward trend of sales in vinyl. I think it's because of the limited edition nature of it. It's a collector's item. The artwork is bigger on it. So if you're a fan of the artwork of a band, like, you know, you can just sort of see more of it, and just how they press those types of things. Like you can do different variations of it, right? Like with a CD, is sort of a CD,
sure.
But you know, with vinyl, you can have splatter or translucent or this or that, and it kind of makes for an awesome collector's bundle for people that want to have those types of things. Some people want to get multiple vinyls. So like, okay, I got like the red on orange vinyl, and then I got like the weird purple smoke vinyl. Like, so it's kind of cool.
I have seen some of that. Now I'm just thinking that Slagel's just more of a prophet. That's what I'm thinking, you know. But it's all good. One thing I want to touch on David, is your voice. You know, I mean, the way you sing, you know, obviously with the style of metal, you know, that Revocation's all about, you know, it's got to be somewhat strenuous. Are there any particular exercises that you do? I'm just curious, and I'm sure your fans are too, because the last thing we want is any vocal cord blowouts like when M Shadows with Avenge had, you know, where you got to take a break, you know, and we can't listen to your beautiful chops, you know. So do you do anything specific to keep everything in check?
I try to warm up before, you know, I hit the stage every night. I certainly, I find it more important to do it like before the actual tour, right? So like if we're home for like, you know, a couple months with some downtime, I'll need to kind of warm up to get my voice, to kind of break it in again. So yeah, I'll maybe start warming up my voice like 2 weeks before a tour, just singing like, you know, one song a day, right? And then, you know, I'll do 2 songs and then 3 songs and 4 songs and just kind of build it up until I can do the whole set. And then we'll have the actual rehearsals with the band. And by that point, I should be ready to go. Yeah, it can be strenuous for sure. I find it more so like if I'm not getting like enough sleep, right? Like it's not so much the actual performance, but like, you know, getting off stage, and if you're in a loud club and you're talking to a bunch of people, like you got to be talking at an elevated speaking voice than you normally would. That's going to put strain on your voice. Sometimes we're staying in some like weird hotel and like the air is like dry as shit, and there's probably like black mold lurking in the air conditioning unit in the walls. So it's like wake up like, oh, I don't feel so good. But you know, so you try to take care of yourself as best you can. But at a certain point, like your voice just kind of gets molded into that style of singing, and it doesn't really affect you at all.
Right on. So it's just like being a finely tuned athlete, you know, where you're going to the extreme, but your body, and in your instance, your voice is used to it. So ain't no thing, you know. You're used to doing it, so your vocal cords are used to doing what you got to do.
Right.
Right on. All right. So again, for everyone watching right now, we are here with David Davidson of Revocation, and they got their brand new album coming out next month, The Outer Ones. Now, I want to touch on your official music video, you know, that we just talked about a little while ago, of Unworldly Origin, because that's obviously what Rock Titan Music Television is all about. What made you choose that song to be your official music video, to kind of be like the marketing, advertising engine for what's going to be coming out?
We felt it was just a really strong song. I mean, it was track 1, right? That's how the record opens up. It's driving. It's got some cool twists and turns. I like the bridge section a lot, and the solos ripping. And it also is like, I guess, kind of like an anthemic quality to it, even though it's like fast and in your face. There's some catchy parts to it, and it's also a song that like really tells a story. So when we were thinking about doing a music video, I didn't want to go with just doing like another performance video, because we've done those in the past, and I think they've come out great. But it's like, all right, you know, we did performance-based video last time. Let's try to do something a little bit different here. And when you have good source material, like if the lyrics are telling a story, like, I mean, there's your theme right there. So all I had to do was like look at the lyrics to come up with the concept for the video. And Dave Brodsky is such a great director that I gave him my ideas, and then from there he just kind of ran with it. There was a couple of surprises. Like when I initially envisioned it, when I was sort of pitching it to him, I was not thinking that we were going to be in the video as actors, like we were going to be playing in the video, but I didn't think like I was going to be the witch hunter. I assumed he was just going to hire like an actor for that, you know.
Right.
But he was like, Dave, it sounds like you kind of have this idea pretty fleshed out. Like, I don't know if anyone should play the witch hunter except for you, because you know what the vision's going to be. I'm like, I'll be a witch hunter. Why not? I played like a 90-year-old man in a video before, so I might as well be a witch hunter with a tri-corner hat.
There you go. There you go. Now, I got to know, because, you know, watching the video, who's the witch? Now, the hands looked somewhat feminine, but again, you know, with all of the other extra makeup and whatnot, is it a girl or a guy behind that witch?
It was a chick. Yeah, there was 2 girls. So there was the forget her name, but they're both really nice. Like the one girl I didn't really get to talk to that much, because she was like in makeup for like so long. Like I guess like the prosthetics weren't adhering properly, so she was like in the makeup chair for like 6 hours or something like crazy. Yeah, I felt bad. I was like, oh my god. I mean, it was so hot. We were in this like weird barn. It was the summertime, so they were having some struggles with that. But they were both really great people to work with, and I think that they both gave really cool performances. So.
Wow, so this was a big production. I mean, it looked like a big production, but like this wasn't something where they just went to like some Halloween shop and slapped a mask on. I mean, this took some time.
Oh yeah, it was a makeup person that they hired to do all that, the prosthetics or whatever, and we got costumes and all that kind of stuff. And usually a music video takes a day, right?
Right.
This, took like, and it's not even a full day. Usually it's like maybe like 4 or 5 hours, and like, all right, let's call it. But this one was like 2 like full days of like getting there, like setting it up, getting all the lights right in terms of like the angles for like how they wanted things lit, because part of the vision of it, I wanted it to have that like Evil Dead kind of vibe, like that old school VHS horror. And a lot of those movies, like there's subtle things that you might not even be looking for if you're just like casual movie watcher, but
right.
Just how things are lit, like how someone's face might turn, and there's like a light from behind them that lights it in a certain way, like things that like are very striking to look at and have like an iconic look of that kind of horror from that time. So just getting all that stuff organized. I mean, we had like a guy on set who was like in charge of just like collecting like bones and like weird like pentagrams and stuff like that. Like they had some like people that like practiced like Wiccan stuff that like came in, and like all the symbols that you see like written on the walls were like are actual symbols from that kind of like occult thing, and not just like random things that like looked evil. Like each one like had like a meaning and a purpose behind it.
Right on, right on. Now I know the Revocation, you guys are spread out, as a band. It's not like you guys all live in the same neighborhood.
That's right.
How do you guys manage all of that? Like, how do you guys practice? How do you share ideas? It's got to be somewhat challenging. I mean, are you guys using Skype like what you and I are doing right now?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When I'm with practice, we all get together, right? And jam. Like that doesn't happen on a weekly basis,
sure.
Obviously, because like you said, we're all spread out. But at the same time, I feel confident in all of our abilities and all of our dedication to this band. That like if we don't see each other for a few months, like it's not the end of the world. Especially because we tour so much and we see each other so often.
Sure.
When you're on the road, you're spending 24 hours a day with the rest of the guys, right? So what usually happens is like, okay, we have like a group text thread. We're going to play these songs for this upcoming tour. And we just trust that everyone's going to work on them in their own free time. I mean, this is our kind of gig now. Like we're trying to be professional musicians, so
sure.
You can take the hour a day to run through the set to make sure it's tight, in the few weeks leading up to the actual rehearsals that we do. That way we're not getting in there like scratching ourselves in the head like, okay, how did that go again? Like that's the like practice is for rehearsing the songs, not
sure.
like for relearning the stuff.
Right,
so
right.
We do that, and then in those jam sessions, I mean, obviously we're focused on the set first and foremost. However, I always like to write, and I'm always coming up with new ideas, so I will take that practice time. We'll try and carve out a little bit of time here and there. Like if I've got like a new riff that's just like stuck in my head and I need to get it out and like play it with people, so like I'll show like our drummer Ash like something that I'm working on. We'll maybe take a half hour to kind of jam on it and flesh it out. Plus, it's sort of nice to have like a little palate cleanser of not just playing the same 10 songs like over and over and over again. Like, all right, take it from the top for the 10th time. It's cool to break it up with some new music to work on. It gets you excited and stuff. And then but a lot of it really for the writing process as far as feature stuff goes is over Skype. I'll record demos just on my laptop and send them over to Ash, and then Ash will send me back like either like program drums that he's written or actual like he's got like a little what is it like? It's like a digital kit, right? So you can kind of like play and like it'll record it and send me back. They're not the greatest sounding demos in the world, but I mean I can envision everything in my mind while I'm working on this type of stuff. So that's to me what's sort of the most important part is how does it fit up here, because I can picture I don't write just like I can only hear guitar and that's it. Like I'm picturing the drums and I'm picturing the bass, and if I have vocal ideas, like I'm picturing how the vocals would go. So it all kind of gets composed in my head, and then we'll work on it with Ash so he can bring in his input, and then we'll bring it to the rest of the guys if they've got any things that they want to add to the song. Like, and it's usually like by that point, like pretty much fleshed out. But like, oh, let's try and why don't we play this part for twice as long at the end, or maybe it's the other. Okay, this goes on for too long. Let's chop it there, and so that's where the other guys' input is useful sometimes, because you get so married to a particular form.
Sure.
Sometimes you need someone to come in and like have a different take on it or whatever. So
Right on.
That's how we write. Yeah.
All right, but you guys have never done anything like a video conference, kind of like The Rocker with Rainn Wilson, the naked drummer. Ash has never pulled that on you, has he? You've never had to look at any of that, have you?
It's usually from the waist up, so I don't know. Totally nude. I don't know.
Yeah, right on, right on. You were talking a little bit ago about your writing, you know, and the way you guys are so collaborative and the way you work together. And I'm just curious, obviously, you know, The Outer Ones, it's got this, you know, tap into the dark supernatural. And obviously that deviates somewhat from Great Is Our Sin, your last album. What was the thought process behind, you know, you guys as a band thinking, all right, we just did this. It was great. Now we're going to do something else. Was there any conscious decision to move in a particular direction to create a different kind of message for your fan base?
I think it's both conscious and unconscious, right? You know, like when you're dealing with music and being creative, like there's certain things that come to the forefront of your mind, and then there's certain things that are kind of lurking in the background that, like, you know, maybe you don't realize until sort of after the fact. So yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted to do something different. Every record we put out, it's a balance between maintaining the core of our sound, but also pushing our boundaries so that we bring something new to the table each time. I mean, music is this ever-evolving, living, breathing thing, at least for me anyway, right? Like, I want to be sort of an artist, like, first and foremost, so I have to kind of go with what my gut tells me. Like, on Great Is Our Sin, there was probably the most singing we've ever done on an album. I think generally the trend with bands is, if that's the case, then usually they continue to add more of that with every record. For us, we stripped all that away, and there's no melodic vocals on this new record, just because the music, I don't have anything against melodic vocals. Like I said, we've done it on several records.
Sure.
But for me, the music just wasn't speaking to me in that way. It was giving me more abrasive kind of vibes, more death metal vibes. So I'm like, all right, well, I have to go with what the music is, you know, how I'm reacting to it. So that was, you know, is that a conscious decision? Is it an unconscious decision? It's kind of hard to say. I guess it's like a little bit of both.
Right on, right on. Now, I know you guys are going to be going on tour very soon. We're talking mid-September. You guys are going to be hitting the tour trail, playing this new music, yeah?
Oh, yeah. We're doing a headline tour in North America, and then we're going over and actually doing another headline tour over in Europe. So it's going to be a busy time.
Yeah. Now, I saw recently you guys are hitting South America, Colombia.
Yes, we're going to Bogota. We've played Colombia before in a city called Manizales. This was our first time playing in Bogota, which is obviously, like, you know, going to be a huge city, a huge crowd, and I mean, Knotfest.
Knotfest, yes.
The Metal Gods. We're playing with Judas Priest.
Judas Priest. I was just going to say, man, how awesome is that?
It's crazy, you know. It's cool because, like, the metal genre, like, you know, people get, I think, so focused on, like, you know, death metal and thrash and black metal. It's cool that this lineup has, you know, Judas Priest, Halloween, Creator, Arch Enemy, Iron Reagan for that kind of crossover sound.
Right on.
Our buddies in Goat Horror are playing. They've got that, like, black metal element to their sound. So it's such a crazy, diverse bill. And with Judas Priest at the top, I mean, they're the band that I would say, you know, influenced, you know, all the bands on
I was just going to ask you that, man.
So
I mean,
they're
yeah.
kind of like the glue that's like, look where this band, you know, it's like a weird, you know, family tree or something like that. Like, look at all the different offshoots of this one sort of sound, like how it, you know, developed, and people kind of internalize that sound in different ways.
Right
so
on.
It's really an honor to play with, you know, sort of some of the originators of the genre.
Yeah, no, that's very, very cool. So, I mean, you know, going down that path, obviously, you know, Rob Halford, what are some of the biggest legends that influenced you as a vocalist?
So for me, I would say what got me into, singing like in that harsher style would probably start with like maybe Phil Anselmo from Pantera.
Okay.
And then I moved to like getting into more, you know, death metal bands like, you know, Corpse Grinder from Cannibal Corpse, Frank from Suffocation has a great unique voice. Sometimes there's guys that like I just like the sound of their voice. Like I'm not trying to emulate their tone, but like
sure.
Maybe it's their phrasing, right? Or or even like like lyrics and stuff like that. Like I've always been drawn to like reading through the lyrics and stuff like that. So there's been so many different vocalists out there. But yeah, I would say like as far as like the death metal side, Corpse Grinder would be a big one. For thrash, like I love Kyle Thomas from X Hoarder.
Okay.
He had this. His lyrics were cool, and he had this like attitude. Like that was one of I think my biggest takeaways from thrash is there's always seemed to be like this attitude there. I think because thrash was so directly influenced from punk,
sure,
right? So like it's the delivery. It's like sometimes it's like Megadeth. Like sometimes it's like kind of like snotty and like snarly. Like I kind of like that attitude.
Right on.
Some of Mustaine's delivery. So yeah, so many different influences there.
Yeah, no, very cool. Well, I know you got to get going, David. Final thoughts. Obviously, you're with Metal Blade Records, and we just talked about your tour that's, you're going to be doing down there for the Knot Fest, and Goat Horror is going to be there. Do you have a particular strong relationship with any of the other bands on the Metal Blade label?
Yeah, Goat Horror for sure. Our homies. We've done a bunch of different tours from them. It's like seeing like old friends. I mean, that's exactly what it is. Like you spend so much time together on the road, you develop this bond. It's weird. Like a tour bond is different than like other types of friendships because you're all just like in it together in this kind of crazy traveling caravan. So it's always good to see those guys. They're always rowdy and just a lot of laughs and stuff. Iron Reagan, I know those guys as well.
Okay.
We haven't done like a ton of touring with them per se, but I've toured with Cannabis Corpse, which is Phil's other band, and I've known Tony and those guys for years. So great dudes. I think that's it as far as bands that we've really toured with.
No, very cool.
I've met Jeff Loomis a couple of times, like here and there, like in passing. Like he's a super cool dude. It'd be cool to kind of sit down with him and shoot the shit a bit from Arch Enemy. And yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping I can get like a selfie with Rob Halford.
Right? That would be pretty cool. That would be very cool. Well, David, thank you again so much for your time. Everybody, we're here with David Davidson. Revocation. They got the outer ones coming out. Now, I've seen a couple of different dates. September 27th, September 28th. Have we ironed that out?
Yeah, someone else said the 27th, but I'm pretty sure it's the 28th.
28th, that's what I thought. Yeah, I thought I saw another outlet.
For the 27th, but the 28th, it'll definitely be out.
Right on, right on. And for everybody out there, if you have not seen the official music video, I'm going to be playing it up against my house. I want to see how many trick-or-treaters I get or how many I scare away. Maybe I won't have to spend as much on candy this year for all the little kiddies.
Save a few bucks on Snickers.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely have to go check that out. But again, David, thank you again so much for your time. It's been a blast. Everybody, go check them out. Revocation, got the new album coming out. Dave, you the man.
Thank you, man. Likewise, appreciate it.